Okay, let's explain the Infinite Sword glitch, also known as ISG. To get the Infinite Sword glitch, you need to stab, and then have the crouch stab animation be interrupted on a very specific frame, that frame being when Link first has his shield completely in front of his face at the end of the crouch stab. And what will that glitch do, you might ask yourself? The Infinite Sword glitch will make it so that Link's sword will be slashing at every frame as long as it's not interrupted. And that will allow Link to be in a slashing state while still being able to do actions like pulling out bombs, doing backflips, side hops, putting masks on and off. So making kind of much more flexible slashing state than the usual slashes we have in the game. So on the Japanese version, it'll be really important, I'll explain later, that you slash before starting ISG at least once per time you load an area. So to do Infinite Sword glitch, what you're going to do, you can do it with different things. So we're going to do it with that sign first. We're going to slash, going to get within distance, or you can see the text box here. You're going to slash, not hit the wall. You're going to stab and not hit the wall, and press A right at the end of the crouch stab animation, and that's going to initiate the ISG, and that will look like this. And there you go. That's Infinite Sword glitch. Now you will know you've gotten it when Link's sword is glowing like that and it keeps glowing. Well, that's one method. Another method is to interrupt by talking to NPCs. So the actions on the A button are really helpful to initiate ISG. So again we're gonna stab, then press A at the end of the animation, and that should give us Infinite Sword glitch from talking to the bank guy. And there you go. We didn't see quite well, but we did get it. We did get Link's sword to glow. If you want to confirm, you can backflip, press B during the backflip, and the sword is out, and it is glowing again. And that will let us cut grass, that will let us also attack enemies with Infinite Sword glitch, and for some reason, I'm hitting torches just to show you, I guess. Alright, so that's the Infinite Sword glitch, and that's two ways to get it. There's another way to get ISG, and that is from interrupting the crouch stab by lifting an object, or using the grab action on your A button. So we are going to do that most of the time in Zelda Majora's Mask speedruns with a bomb. So let me show you what that looks like. That's going to look like this. Okay, so now did I actually get ISG? Yes, I did. So now I have ISG. I can now start using other glitches that rely on the Infinite Sword glitch. So let's explain and see how you can now do it yourself. So you're going to drop a bomb. I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to do it when I do another display. Then stab. For me, sometimes the timing is easier, so I might do two stabs. So one stab, and on coming back from the second stab, we're going to press A to grab the bomb, and that should initiate the Infinite Sword glitch if we do it late enough in the crouch stab animation. So slash, stab, second time, press A, and here I did something extra. What I did is I pressed L, then R after A, so that I could stand and shield so that the bomb would not damage me. Why? Because Infinite Sword glitch is going to get cancelled, we got it right now, if you take damage without moving, or if you're just shielding like that. So let's see what happens if I don't press... Well, let's see what happens if I don't press L and R. So you saw the sword was glowing, so Infinite Sword glitch got activated, but it was not preserved because I took damage without moving. Same thing for shielding. If we get infinite sword glitch and we just shield, lost again. So that's 2 ways to lose infinite sword glitch. So if we get it, oops, that didn't work. Oopsie. Okay. If we get it and press L then R, we're going to be shielding the bomb and it's not going to damage us and we won't lose the effect. Also, if you're moving while taking damage, you're not going to lose infinite sword glitch either. Let's go into Termina just so I can show a couple more things about infinite sword glitch. So another thing about infinite sword glitch is that you're going to lose it if you grab onto a ledge where Link needs to hop to grab onto the ledge. So right now, well, this here, so just confirming, so we do have infinite sword glitch, but if we grab this ledge where Link needs to hop to grab onto it, you will lose infinite sword glitch. Whereas if I go lower on a smaller ledge or the height that's lower, if he just needs to climb onto it and no hop animation to get onto it, we still have the infinite sword glitch. That's a couple of the ways you can lose it, or a couple of things you can do to be sure you don't lose the trick, or won't lose the infinite sword glitch state. Alright, so moving on. Continuing. Now, let's talk about bomb hovers. So, in this game, you can do hovers with bombs and bombchus, actually. We'll look at both. That let Link cross either large gaps horizontally in distance, or get up places he's not supposed to go to yet by moving upward. So, that's going to be a very useful glitch in a lot of Majora's Mask speedruns. And let's see what a usual hover looks like. So here, I kind of did it quickly, so what I did is I got infinite sword glitch, so that's a prerequisite to hovers. You need to know how to do infinite sword glitch to perform them. And once you have the infinite sword glitch, you pull out a bomb. You're going to hold L, and as the bomb is just near explosion, you're going to shield it, then backflip, and make sure that when you backflip, you keep holding R. So repeating, so when the bomb is about to explode, and as you were already holding L, you press R, maintain it pressed, keep it pressed, and input the backflip, and that should give you a hover. Let's look. You can also drop the bomb early if there's ground under you, but if you're in the air already, you'll want to drop it really near the end of the explosion so it doesn't fall too far below you. You don't want to be missing the hover because of that. And right now Link is stuck in the air because when you shield damage with ISG active, the game resets Link's state as if he were in a grounded state, but if you're underground, well, you can't be falling, and so Link hovers as a result. Let's see what happens if we do a hover from the ground. In this case, Link did hover for a couple of frames, but because he's too close to the ground, the game is gonna snap him back down. So that's bomb hovers. Also forgot to mention that you can also do bomb hovers not only with backflips, but with side hops. So, if I want to do movement sideways for some reason, with hovers, then it's completely possible. And it works naturally in both directions. There you go, Link is still floating. And yeah, so that's something else you can do with hovers, not just backwards, but you can go sideways with them. We can also do hovers using Bombchus. So, same as for bomb hovers, you will need to first put yourself in the ISG state. So, do an ISG. And then what you're going to do, let's talk about the inputs, is hold L, input the backflip, then depending on whether you want a high hover, you will quickly, right after pressing A, press Y, then R. So again, if you want to do a high Bombchu hover, backflip, quickly press R and Y right after, one after the other. And if you want a distance hover, so a hover that does a lot of distance horizontally and not vertically, you will do a backflip and then wait a bit before you press Y then R. However, very important, I try to always press Y and R next to each other because you don't want your Bombchu to go running off a wall if you let these two inputs be too far apart. So I've explained that, so now let's show that with the actual example. So we're going to backflip, then quickly Y then R for a height hover. Again, quickly A, chew, then R. Like I say Y, but whatever is your Bombchu button is what you should be using. So backflip, quick, chew, then R, and hold R again. And now for distance hover, again you backflip, then you delay pressing Y then R, but keeping Y and R close to each other in the timing. That looks like this. And as for bombs, you can also do hover sideways. Instead of doing a backflip, you start with a side hop. So side hop, if you want a short side hop or a short sideway hover, you side hop, then quickly press R, then quickly press Y, then R, sorry, or chew, then R. And then if you want a longer side hop, you just delay pressing your chew plus R. Okay, and that was. So here you see when you're too close to the ground, you're gonna snap back. So one thing you eventually want to practice are the two following things. You want to practice being able to do two hovers back to back. So like this, you could start hovering right from the ground, even though you don't have like a gap or some cliff or something to get yourself started from. And you also want to practice starting doing ISG from a single bomb and then continuing into a hover, into a Bombchu hover. So showing you this thing again. So it'll be very common to try and hover off the bomb you get infinite sword glitch from, so that's something I recommend practicing. It's a couple of bomb ammos saving you can do here and there. And for some tricks. Oops, so I failed that one. So hover, quickly chew hover right after. You can wait just a tiny bit, so you have a bit of time before you can put the chew hover in. So you won't snap back immediately, so you can learn to actually time that, and that'll be very helpful to start hovers from literally anywhere. There's this way, bye-bye. Okay, so that's what I have to say about hovers. Alright, we will now talk about Superslides and actually show Superslides. So Superslides are obtained by trying to grab an object as you're interrupted by a damage source. And that will send Link going backwards very quickly. So that's the fastest form of movement, but not the most flexible that that at least human Link can use. And essentially fastest for all forms. The go-around rolling at full spikes is also the same speed, but forward. Alright, so let's show one super slide and then we'll explain tips and all of that so you can do it yourself. Alright, let's go. Let's actually get one. Well, that's a super slide. So now Link is going backwards at something like thing between twice and triple his back walking speed. Like, it's super fast. And that's a super slide. Alright, so let's now talk about how to do a super slide. So, what you're going to do is pull out a bomb, start back walking, wait for 3 red flashes, or 1, 2, 3. And then what you're going to do is shield drop the bomb, keep going backwards, then wait a tiny bit, then hold forward and roll into bomb. And you'll be mashing A when you roll into the bomb. So that should look like this. That's too early, and that will make you store a ground jump. But if you do it just right... That was too late. And there you go. That's a super slide. Alright, let's now look at a slightly easier method to time super slides. So what you'll do as you are back walking, you will be, again, pulling out a bomb, waiting until you see 3 red flashes, and right at the moment you see 3 red flashes, you're going to backflip. So 1, 2, 3, backflip. Then wait a bit, then roll into the bomb. So let's see what that looks like when we actually do it far away from an enemy, so it doesn't bug us. 1, 2, 3. And there you go. So I'd even say you have to kind of time the backflip with the 3rd red flash. And like this, you'll get a super slide. That's another way of timing it more easily. Alright, let's now talk about recoil flips. Recoil flips are a trick where you shield damage from a bomb in midair, and that will let Link go backwards and downwards quite quickly and quite far. So, a lot further than a backflip. So if we compare a backflip from that ledge, is just going to go there. I didn't hold that much. Let's do a natural one where I hold all the way back. And a recoil flip is going to go a lot further. Alright, so as you can see, we're like something like 5 times further away. Well, that's kind of based on the height that we started from, but still, this takes us very, 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 very far backwards. So that's super helpful for crossing large gaps when Link is higher than where we want to get to, or just at the same height but close enough. Alright, so how do we do a recoil flip? So, what you do is you pull out a bomb, drop it, and then backflip as it's about to explode. Or almost literally when it explodes. So this is an unbuffered one. In some cases where you want to do recoil flips and they're critical, but you're not comfortable with them yet, then you can find there are a couple of frames you can use to get the best recoil flip possible. So you would wait until... So when it starts flashing quickly, you would shield drop it. And then that's one frame you can get. So when the bomb is red and just starts inflating, then you can input a down plus A input, and that will initiate the recoil flip. Also, you have other frames that work. Let me see if I can try and get them. So that was the big red frame, but there was one before that. So yeah, there we go. So when the bomb starts expanding, but still small, but still, that's going to be a frame that works. So blue, expanding but not too big. So that will work. So if you do it really early, the only problem is that you're going to get a small one. It's still a still a good distance, but you are going to start going down a lot faster, and for some situations that's super bad. So there's at least one boss to skip that I have in mind, where you need a super good recoil flip to make it to the loading zone. But we'll talk about that later. So other things that are important about recoil flips, if I wrap this up, you may have noticed when I do the recoil flip, I stop holding down. So you backflip and right away you stop holding the analog stick. You could even go as far as holding up just to make sure you hold down for as little as possible after having started it. Because if you do that, that's going to send Link's momentum from diagonally backwards and downward to mostly downwards, and you will lose all the horizontal distance, or a lot of the horizontal distance. Not all of it, but a lot of it, which is one of the main reasons why you'll usually be doing a recoil flip. So, let's do it again. So here, did kind of early, but still went far because I went back and held up. You don't really need to hold up, that's maybe more for megaflips, but if you really want to make sure, that's something you can do. Now let's see what happens if I keep holding down when I do. Well, actually, that was kind of hard for me because I had to find muscle memory, but as you can see, we crossed a lot less distance by still holding down. So that's what I had to say about recoil flips. So actually, I kind of lied. There's another frame that works for recoil flips, and it's the first explosion frame is actually going to work. However, past that, I think you're just going to get damage if you haven't shielded until then. Or just going to get a very small recoil flip. Alright, let's now talk about another not super necessary but kind of cool movement mechanic in Majora's Mask, another glitch we can use to move around faster, this time in water. That is called Superswim. So, let's show you a Superswim. So you start with a recoil flip, and so see how we got to travel a very, very large distance in the water. Let's compare that to an actual just a normal recoil flip. Here we are crossing a good amount of distance, but not as much because the water is slowing us down. However, with Superswim, you get to cross faster. So how do we do a Superswim? So as you've seen, we start by doing a recoil flip, and then when you land in the water, as you land in the waters, you can do it the moment you finish the recoil flip. You hold up, and you start mashing L, as long as Link keeps moving backwards. And that will extend how long Link is in the water. Note that you can go from within, so excluded, I think, up left to up right. So in that little range here around completely holding up, you have some leeway and you'll still be able to do a super swim out of that. So that's super swim with human. So let's just show you again. So recoil flip, then hold up, mash L, and you cross a lot more distance. Alright. Let's now talk about another form of super swim, one you can do as Zora. You can do what's called a jump slash recoil to gain distance from jump slashing against the wall. However, the water is just going to stop you really quickly. But Zora has something to fight against the water, that is the super swim mechanic for Zora. So what you're going to do is do the jump slash recoil. So here the way I do is side hop. The moment I cross, I press B to jump slash. The moment Link's feet cross the platform level is what I mean. And then as you enter the water, you're just gonna start alternating A and B, I think, while holding L. Yeah, there you go. And that puts Link in a super swim state. And that extended the momentum of Link going into the water for a lot longer. So we were right next to that like, and now we made it to that shore here by using Zora Superswim. So actually, let me show you how you can kind of control the direction. So if you hold in the direction opposite of where you're going from, as long as you don't go too far left or right, you should be able to control where Zora Link is going. So it's going to look like that. So now we're clearing the shore, we're almost. Well, yeah, so that didn't give us a lot of displacement, but we didn't end up there. We got a bit more to the right. So if you do it well, you can actually make it quite far into Great Bay, back to, let's say, Pirate's Fortress when you want to get hookshot. So that's another form of Super Swim, and the method with the A-B mashing is reserved for Zora Link. Alright, so now let's talk about Megaflips and Mega Side Hops. Megaflips and Mega Side Hops have the exact same speed, and I'm almost sure roughly the same trajectory as Recoil Flips. And then you might see that this trick ends up being very precise and tell me, well, why do we do this trick if it's that precise, but we have Recoil Flips to just replace it? That is correct when you're underground, which is where you can start Recoil Flips, but you cannot start Recoil Flips when you're already, say, in a hover state, which will be very common. So, combining Megaflips, bombs, and Bombchus, you will be able to cross larger gaps with less explosives if you know how to do Megaflips and Mega Side Hops. So, let's show you first what that looks like. So on buffer, that's gonna look like this. So that's an unbuffered Mega Flip. Let me now show you an unbuffered Mega Side Hop. So that will cross a very similar distance to Mega Flips. But they're a lot easier. I think they might be slightly lower in terms of vertical height, but they will be very helpful in some setups where you can interchange between a Mega Flip and a Mega Side Hop, because Mega Side Hops are not as harsh as Mega Flips when it comes to timing, and we'll explain why. Alright, so when you do a Mega Flip, you will have to be very careful about many things. So the timing first. So the timing, you want to pull out a bomb and wait till about the 6th flash, and you want to drop it on one of these frames. So the second blue frame after the 6th flash, or the 7th red flash, or the first frame of the 7th red flash. And then on that frame, or the one before, you will want to input a shield drop for the bomb, and an A press. That's gonna look... So you can just hold R and buffer an A press, that's gonna work. And then, you don't have to buffer actually, you can just roll a bit more, but it's just to show you. So now that bomb here will go drop, and then Link will have his hands empty, and so he'll be able to backflip at the end of his roll, and that will give us a Mega Flip. And the timing here is fairly precise, so you have 2 frames that work if you pressed on that frame. If you drop the bomb on the second blue frame after the 6th red flash, then you want to backflip here, but right now that won't work because we went for 1 extra frame. Otherwise, you will input a backflip on the 2nd explosion frame, which is this one. And then after that, you just release very quickly A and holding down. Actually, if you do them on buffered, I would even recommend holding up to cancel the downward momentum, because that will slow down your Megaflip like it did with Recoil Flips, or like it could do with Recoil Flips. So right now I'm neutral, so I don't need to do it because I'm buffering it. And once I release, this should give me a Megaflip. And there you go. That's a buffered Megaflip. So some people just buffer the final inputs. Some people, when they start, they buffer both when they drop and when they get the Megaflip actually in. So you choose where you're comfortable. I'd suggest just learning to time the buffer for the end before going for unbuffered, but I think it's reasonable to skip starting to buffer the exact frame where you dropped him. I think it'll be better for you if you learn the timing, at least for the start, and then just buffer the end. Because then that's 2 sections of pause buffering, and I think this is adding up quite a lot, in my opinion. But that's just me. If you get through runs with buffering both parts, then go ahead. So I'm just one guy suggesting something. If you can get runs going because of that, that's a good priority to have. So go for that. If timing Megaflips is super hard at the start, it took me forever to just do my Megaflips like that. Show you. So that's what I do, and even then, I sometimes mess it up. But so let me show you again what I usually do in runs. That's what I do usually. So try to buffer just the end of the Mega. The less frame you buffer, the better, because it's just faster. So alright, let's now look at what happens if you keep holding down when doing a Mega Flip. So let's do it this way. That's gonna work. Okay, so now we can see Link is backflipping, so that's gonna work. And then so this is gonna do a Mega Flip. Oh, so see, it started it. But now I'm gonna just keep holding down. Oops, cancelled. So that cancelled my horizontal momentum, transferred it to downward, and we lost a lot of distance. So if we compare, we're now up there on the slope, where earlier we can go about as low as there. So that's a very, very big difference. So you really want to make sure to stop holding down when you input a Mega Flip. Alright, so I'm now going to explain the extended Superslide position, or the HESS position, used to, as its name, extend Superslides. So, you can hold that position just barely outside of your analog stick's dead zone to have Link shuffle on his feet, and if you hold that as Link is being pushed backwards by a Superslide, you can carry some of the Superslide's momentum and have Link be able to move backwards and change direction indefinitely. So that's cool, but we can do better. What we can do is, instead of taking like half or a bit more than half the speed of a Superslide into the HESS position, we can actually take the full speed of a Superslide and preserve it, and have Link be able to change direction as he's moving backwards at Superslide speed. And that is what we're going to call a Hyperextended Superslide. Alright, so you want to start HESSing. First, make sure you are comfortable with holding HESS position. So what I do here is I hold left, say, until Link is just barely moving, then retarget. and then he should be in ESS position, and then just practice doing 1 or 2 turns like that. Just hold the position and just retarget. So try not to go more than 90 degrees. Now, more than 90 degrees, when we do it, will make us lose the position. If we go too far, there you go, we've lost ESS position. You can regain it, but for a HESS, that's bad, because that will make you completely lose it. So try to do that both ways. So we did left, let's now do right. So hold barely outside of your dead zone on your analog stick, and just target and retarget. Target on target, retarget. Until you can do a couple of turns, until you're comfortable with it. I dropped my right one easily. You will have, most likely, an ESS that's easier or harder for you. For me, ESS left is very easy, and ESS right is kind of hard for me. For some people, it's the opposite. So that's why I practice this a bit longer, because that's going to help me out later. But just get comfortable with doing that, and then we'll move to the next step in performing a HESS. So that's really just warm up. Let's look at a couple of the frames for HESSes. So start side walking like this, draw a bomb, buffer that frame, hold R, press A, buffer until not this frame will crash. The frame after will give you HESS. The first frame after the explosion will crash, so do not go for this one, go for the one after. If you want to practice buffering it to make sure you're actually getting on the good frame. Like, well, it's not practice buffering, use buffering to make sense of it, but once you make sense of it, try to go on buffering. Alright, so now I'll show you how to do a HESS, but this time by holding ESS right. So right outside your dead zone like this. So you hold L, start holding ESS right, and pull out a bomb. And there you go. So you start... So again, you start rolling on the same frames as a Megaflip, and you on target during the roll, and you will be retargeting right after the bomb explosion. And then you should be at max speed. Alright, so let's look at direction changes during HESSes. So you can change from ESS left to right, or from ESS right to left during a HESS. So let's see what it looks like. Just making sure I get my position right. Alright, try again. Can't get it for some reason. There you go. So that's a slower one. That's an ESS, but that will still work fine for now. So right now I'm holding ESS right, so I'll be... The links back will be tilting left when I turn. But if I want to change ESS direction, I can press start. Changing direction like that, and there you go. Now this is now an ESS going towards the left. It's also possible with higher speed. It's just now I happen to catch an ESS, but that's good enough to explain. And then you could go back to ESS right this way, and then keep turning the other way instead. So you have that flexibility. So that makes it a very flexible trick for movement on flat surfaces. Alright, now I'm done with testing for now. So see you in the tutorial.